Hello, friends and beautiful people. It is Catherine. I have a little bit of a different backdrop today because this is the only place in the house that's cool at the moment. It's 85 degrees in my house, and me and Finn, who is laying down on the floor next to me, are trying to cool down in the basement. Well, it's like a split level house, so we're downstairs, subterranean. And this is our funky little kind of man cave, it's our record room. We call it the mullet room because up here is the business center with a computer and all kinds of equipment, and then business up front, party in the back. So we call it the mullet room. If you know what a mullet is, you'll understand that joke. But anyway, hello everyone. I wanted to just come and talk real quick about tending to your peace. Tending to your peace. And a little wisdom about when you tend to your peace, everything else falls into place. It really does. This has been a process for me going on 2 years now, close to 2 years, where I have been just whittling down, dismantling, collapsing, voluntarily crumbling a lot of the things in my life that were filler, quite actually, stuff that I felt I needed to do to be productive, which was kind of buying into this live productivity and busyness for the sake of it, and I don't need to have busyness in my business. And so I've whittled that away a lot. And in this process of whittling down my life and going into the paradigm that I call less is more, which is an interesting thing because when you collapse voluntarily or blow up or break down or stop opting in to certain things in your life, and you're like, yeah, no more, I don't need that in my life. I'm not even sure what it was doing for me. I'm not sure it was helping me, so I'm not going to do that in my life anymore. And when we start doing that more and more, we realize we're actually available for the truth of who we really are. We get to see who we really are. We get to see how we tick. We get to see the things that really matter to us. We get to have a more clarity on what we actually value, what gives our lives meaning, when we stop doing all the stuff, all the things. And I think it's a trap we fall into, especially if you are an entrepreneur and a business owner. Even the most successful entrepreneurs and business owners have this constant kind of low-grade anxiety of, am I doing enough? Am I doing enough? Am I serving enough? Am I cultivating enough? Am I giving enough? Am I enough? And it's kind of constant. And you can quiet those voices in your head a little bit more if you're really honest with yourself, and you also whittle down not just your personal life, but your business, your professional life, to see with fresh eyes what it is that you're really doing, what it is that really matters. What is filler, what is fluff, what is really things that you're doing that aren't serving you or your community, and you can dial a lot of things back. And it's really only available to you, this space of clarity, this place of really seeing things with fresh eyes and in the truth of how they are, when you stop trying to prop yourself up in a certain way, wearing a mask, having a certain persona. It gets really, really exhausting to play a part that is not you. It's really exhausting. It's really exhausting. And so what you'll find when you keep trying to play a part, wear a mask, wear a persona, develop a kind of personality that you think like you should be in order to do X, Y, and Z in your life, or to fulfill certain, let's just say, things that have to do with outside approval or outside acceptance, and feeling like you won't get love or you won't get approval, you won't get acceptance if you're this kind of person. So I better be this kind. And we've done that so many times as women, haven't we? We've had many versions of selves in order to suit the circumstances we found ourselves in. And you either get to a point where you're like, okay, that's just going to be my life. That's just going to be who I am. Or you get to a point like I did 2 years ago where everything kind of screeched to a halt and I had a major spiritual rock bottom moment that was protracted over several months and made me reevaluate everything. You get to that point where you're like, no more. I can't, I won't. I'm not really sure how this ever served me anyway. It's exhausting trying to wear this mask, be this person, have this persona, live up to an ideal that I don't even think is even my ideal. And I don't know where this ideal came from. I don't know where I downloaded this way of being as like this, pie in the sky aspiration. I don't really want that. And I was gearing my life towards that. I was gearing my business towards that. And I ended up feeling more empty than anything else, even though I was doing all the things and making really good money. And yes, serving my clients, and yes, having what I consider to be a successful business. But I was miserable because I was wearing a mask that wasn't really me. And so when you start to get brave enough to deconstruct all of that and see who you really are underneath it, and you're really willing to look at yourself, I mean, really, really look at yourself and be completely, brutally, 100% honest with yourself, what you see, what you're presented with when you strip all the veneer and the polish off, when you're really, really, really ready to sit with yourself in that light, then you can really make the changes in life that are going to support you. And you also realize something else. You stop chasing things because you realize that chasing things, whether it's the money, the right relationship, the right business, the perfect clients, the high-end business, whatever it is, you stop chasing all that stuff because you realize that you were chasing those things to try to achieve a level of peace, but it's actually backwards. If you tend to your peace, if you tend to your life in such a way that you are so present in moment-to-moment interactions with yourself, because you think they're interactions with the world, it's all interactions with yourself. The external reality just becomes the mirror for looking at another facet of yourself. And if you can be in that level of presence and really look at yourself in those moments and self-assess, self-recognize, self-evaluate, then you'll find, hey, this moment is not bringing me peace. Why is that? Why do I not feel peaceful in this moment? How do I correct that? How do I correct it? And it's never, if you're in this level of honesty and self-evaluation, you realize it's never something you want to pull in from outside of you to give you peace. It's never an external influence. It's always digging deeper within that wellspring, that fount that is the endless resource that is you, where this information, your own answers you're looking for, they're all inside. They're all right there. But we lack the ability to be so present with ourselves because we're afraid, quite frankly. We're afraid to see ourselves in this light. We're afraid to see ourselves so honestly and openly because we are so conditioned to not seeing ourselves that way and just kind of moving through, getting through. I got to get through this marriage. I got to get through this week. I have to get through this job. I have to get through this project. I have to get through whatever it is. And it's just more pushing and it's just more forcing until, like I said, you get to a point where You can brutally self-evaluate and say, okay, I can see why the situation that I find myself in now is not giving me peace. Here's what I need to do to correct it. That's interesting. I've been practicing this with my thoughts. Just to be in that level of curiosity is really powerful. Where you can be present and slow down and take the pause that refreshes is what I say. And when I get really spun out, or I get in a moment where I'm like, okay, I feel that low-grade anxiety creeping up again, and I don't want it to escalate, but I'm not trying to push it away. In fact, I greet it with open eyes, open heart, open mind. I'm like, why are you here? What are you showing me? What is this moment of disruption, discomfort? What am I here to learn from it? And how do I grow beyond it? Because the truth of the matter is, and this is true every single time, I will guarantee you this, and I will take this truth to my fucking grave. Every single time you give yourself a beat, a pause, a second to be with your pain and to be with what is causing you discomfort, you are in a stage of growth. What is beyond that moment of saying, okay, I'm not at peace with this moment. I'm not at peace with myself. Why is that? What do I need to do to course correct? The answer is not only right there, because you are your own best resource. You have inner resources, meaning you have the answers to your own questions within you. No one else really does. And you can be with that space and say, okay, I can see that now. I can see that. Here's where I'm doing this to myself. Here's where I'm punishing myself. Here's where I'm getting stuck in feelings of unworthiness or feeling undeserving again. I see where I'm doing that to myself, and it's not real, it's not true. Okay, I need to change my thinking around this. It becomes such a commitment then to feeling peace and making that your pie in the sky ideal. Not the money, not the clients, not the home, not the car, not the fucking luxury vacations. All of that shit that you're chasing to say, if I have that, then I'll have peace. It is the other way around. If you have peace and you tend to your peace, everything else falls into place. And the most fucked up thing is, it's not easy, but it is simple. And we just don't want to do it. We just don't want to do it. We don't want, and I will tell you this from working with clients for 20 years, we don't want what we need. We want what we want. And a lot of us are really good at knowing what it is that we need. Or we're like, nah, but I want this. Oh, I want this. We love immediate gratification. We love pushing our pain under the rug and saying, oh, I'll tend to that tomorrow. And then another tomorrow comes, and another tomorrow, and another tomorrow, and another tomorrow. Next thing you know, you're living a life that is not yours. And you wonder, like, whose life is this? Because it's not mine. I didn't create it to my liking. I didn't create it according to my preferences. Who the fuck did I do all this for? And I didn't want to be going into my 51st year of life feeling that way again. And so not only was I willing to be brutally honest with myself, I was willing to blow up, deconstruct, collapse everything that wasn't working. Everything that I was willing to interface with and say, this doesn't belong here. It's not mine. I don't want it. It's not serving me. I can't see how this is going to escalate me or up-level me into my next level of growth. So it's gone. It's done. No sentimentality about it whatsoever. What I was realizing that I was grieving for, and a lot of this can happen when we give up a version of self, but it can also happen when we've given up on a version of self. And somewhere along the line, I gave up on my authentic, true, core essence version of myself. And what I was grieving for as I entered my 51st year of life was giving up on the version of myself that I abandoned or betrayed in order to fulfill acceptance standards that were not mine, that I had no say-so in setting up. And so I grieved for that version, and I was like, I'm taking you back. I'm taking you back. You were never gone, but here we go. This is the life we're going to build now. It's never too late. And I vow to you this version, this authentic core essence version of myself, my true Catherine. I will never abandon you again. I will never betray you again. I will never betray your trust. I will listen to you when you say you need something instead of saying, no, you don't really need that. Whether it was the love, the affection, the understanding, the willingness to really see myself. All of those things that I said, I'm too busy. I don't have time for you. I realized those were the things that I heard when I was growing up. So I was just mimicking the kind of whatever level of abandonment I got when I was growing up. Because it was like this kind of voice within me. It was like, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. You're fine. Don't worry about it. Get out there. Stop being so butthurt all the time. When what I really needed and what I was really grieving for is the version of myself that was never truly seen, never truly honored, never truly valued. And so I made a vow and a promise and a fucking commitment and dedication to myself that I'm never going to do that again. And that meant blowing up a lot of the things that made up these former versions of selves that, yeah, were very instrumental in getting me here, but really had nothing else to offer me for where I wanted to go next. And I grieved for that version. Not all the versions that I've lost that got me here. I grieved for the version of myself that I abandoned for the sake of external acceptance, external approval, meeting a certain standard or expectation that was never mine at all. And so I also made a vow that tending to my peace in this core essence, true version, authentic and genuine version of myself, that tending to my peace and feeling good in this version of me is the most important thing of all. And I found out something very interesting when I started to really make good on that promise to myself, that everything else started falling into place. That dry spell I experienced when I was dismantling and corrupting these past versions of myself so that I could deconstruct them and say goodbye to them. That dry spell was short-lived, and I started making money again. I started aligning with different kinds of clients. Opportunities opened up for me in my life to make money that didn't even have anything to do with my business. Money started coming in from all different sources, just out of nowhere. But it wasn't out of nowhere. That's the thing. Like, you could say, oh my God, what a fluke. It's not a fucking fluke. When you tend to your peace and you make that a priority above all else, everything else falls into place. But the problem is that when you start doing it, you'll do what I did. You don't trust it. You'll call it a fluke. You'll think it's a one-off. Like, oh my God, it's a miracle and it's never going to be repeated. Like, I started just feeling good all the time for no reason. Feeling abundant, feeling healthy. A lot of my menopause symptoms just kind of went away. I started losing weight, which was good because I was putting on that menopause middle, the menopause muffin top, which is going down at a very healthy rate. And I started feeling stronger. I started having more energy. I started breathing better. My skin cleared up. My hair just had more luster, more shine to it. I felt more alive. I was able to listen to people better, be more attentive and present. Probably because I was more attentive and present to myself, and everything is a mirror. So things started falling into place. And it wasn't a fucking fluke. It wasn't a one-off. It wasn't some weird planetary alignment. It was because I made it a priority to tend to my peace and make that the most important thing in my life. And every day I had to kind of get myself in this mindset and this ritual of confirming and affirming over and over and over again. This is what happens when I tend to my peace. Everything is always working out for me when I tend to my peace. Everything is always working out for me when I tend to my peace. Everything is always working out for me when I tend to my peace. Everything is always working out for me when I tend to my peace. And I didn't believe it at first. I thought it was a fluke, and so I sabotaged it. That's what we do, right? If something is too good to be true and we feel we're not worthy of it, we still have fucked up beliefs about not being worthy or deserving of it, we will upend it. We will sabotage it. And so that's exactly what I did. And when I realized what was going on, I figured out something really incredible. And here's the next part that I really want you to listen to. So the easiest way to figure out where your beliefs are really out of alignment with what you're creating and what you want to create and who you want to become, please listen to this next part because it's very, very important and it is pivotal. It was pivotal to me and it will be pivotal for you too. When you have those moments where you realize you're out of alignment, nothing's working out, okay? Where you're like, oh, I knew it. I knew this was going to get fucked up. I knew this was going to happen, okay? When you have those moments where you're feeling life's discomforts and life's disturbances are smacking right up against you and you're like, fuck, again? Why? Every time. Whatever meaning, please listen to this and take this to heart. And don't take my word for it. Try it for yourself and see. Whatever meaning you are giving to an event or a situation, meaning your meaning, that's the meaning you give it for why something is fucked up, something's going awry, shit's falling apart, and the world doesn't support you. Whatever belief is there has everything to do with the meaning that you're giving it. And it'll show you directly the belief that you have that made the situation manifest. So if your belief is, every time I get ahead a little bit, the universe remembers, she's not allowed to have that, so we got to take it away. And I realized that I had that belief. So guess what I was attracting? This doesn't mean that this is true, by the way. It doesn't mean the universe is out to get me. What it means is that I gave that event that meaning. That's how powerful of a creator you are. Whatever meaning I give to an event or situation, whatever meaning you give to an event or situation, this is true of good things too. It'll show you exactly the belief that attracted it in. That doesn't mean that the meaning you're giving something is true. It just means that's how powerful of a creator that you are in creating your reality. What shows up in the manifest material world of form has everything to do with the beliefs that you have about the possibility of it. And if you believe in the strong possibility that the universe is out to get you, guess what's going to show up in your reality? A little bit of good will come your way and then it will go away. Because that's the belief that you have. That's the meaning that you're giving to those situations. And so then I would take those beliefs and tap on them. I would do EFT tapping. I would journal on them and write a column of all the fucked up beliefs I have. And then in a column next to it, I would write down all the reasons why it's not true. And writing it out can be really powerful because if it's written out in your hand and reasoned out by your own inner world, kind of deflating these beliefs that you have or proving them to be unjust or untrue, then you can have a new belief. And that's really powerful. Because then you'll start attracting things that are aligned with those beliefs. Again, it doesn't mean that it's true in the overall sense of truth with a capital T. It just means it's true for you. Okay? And we're all attracting a different level of reality because we're all on different timelines. So you don't have to worry about, is this universally true? I mean, you can use that to debunk the beliefs that you have. And I will. A good one is, it's not spiritual to make money. Okay. Is that universally true? Not really, because you have people like Deepak Chopra, who's a millionaire. You have, people who are like Abraham Hicks, very, very tuned in, right? Makes millions of dollars. So are they less spiritual? No. So that's not universally true, but it might be a truth for you. So be willing to dismantle those beliefs that are true for you. And don't worry about, does the rest of the world believe this? The rest of the world isn't living your life. You are living your life. You are thwarting your own best efforts at growth through the beliefs that you have. And so when you take responsibility for that, and you start using that method to reverse engineer, you can start breaking down all these beliefs that are keeping you in these consciousness loops where no growth is happening, where there's no stimulation of momentum in your life, and it's always stop, start, 3 steps forward, 7 steps back. So what I'm sharing with you here are 2 things, really. Tend to your peace, and everything else falls into place. This is my credo. It's not just a mantra. This is what I live by now. And everything has changed, and I do mean everything has changed. My relationship with my husband is better. We've been together a really long time, but we've been together since 1999. It's a long time. And so you have those rocky moments in a marriage, but we have better communication. We understand each other. We're open with our emotions more than we ever have been. We respect each other, and we respect each other's boundaries and individuality more than we ever have. My business feels lighter and easier instead of this like dead weight. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I have this albatross around my neck, this business I have to support, and it's not supporting me. Everything changed to me feeling I have to constantly support my business to feeling my business is constantly supporting me. I work with lovely, amazing, beautiful clients. I have a freedom in life. There's going to be some more traveling on my horizon very soon. I'm making more money. And I don't talk about that a lot because I don't think that's as important as people think it is. I know. Sounds like a place of privilege to say that, but it isn't everything. And again, if you tend to your peace first, all that support that you need to show up financially, it will show up, but you have to trust it. That's the thing. And so I want to tell you, tend to your peace and everything will fall into place. And if you want to avoid those pitfalls on the way to trying to work with this as your own credo, this is what I've been developing. This is what I'm teaching women in Women Walking the Phoenix Path. And this starts tomorrow. This program starts tomorrow. This is a program I'm incredibly excited about starting to teach. I'm incredibly proud of this program because it came out of, it's a beautiful gift that came out of my own pain, out of my own self-reclamation, out of a place of being brave enough to blow everything else up that wasn't working so I could sift through the rubble and see what stays, see what was left, and what I could start building a real bedrock foundation on that was firm and solid and stable going forward, and is an ode and an honor and a tribute to me, who I really am. And I only am committed to living that life and being in that level of reality. And when you realize how important that is and how sacred that is, and you tend to that level of peace that brings you, to be authentically, truly you, everything else falls into place. I mean, this is me. I don't have coiffed hair. I don't have perfect branding. I have no makeup on. I have, I'm sitting in my basement without a beautiful backdrop. I don't have glossy photos and, bespoke clothing made for me. Would all those things be nice? Yeah, but none of those things are authentically me. What's authentically me is being in my fucking cutoff shirt, walking my dog in the park, doing lives with no makeup on when I feel inspired to do them and inspired to speak to you, my community, who I love and adore. And I want the best for you too. And if this speaks to you, if my vibration jives with you, then Women Walking the Phoenix Path is for you. And we start tomorrow, this 10-week program. You can get in for under $300 and start this process of unraveling and deconstructing what is not meant to be and has outlived its purpose. those versions of selves, and there are many for women, there are many versions of selves that we use to get us to where we need to be. But they run their course. And then they're not versions of selves that can take us where we want to go next. So it's time to get brave and courageous and really look at that. And if you're ready to do that, and you're ready to have guidance so that you can avoid the pitfalls that I did, I welcome you in. I invite you in. And so we start tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. Pacific time. We meet Wednesdays for 10 weeks. So through October 18th. And this is an incredible community of like-minded women who are doing the same thing in this group program. So those are my two things. Tend to your peace and everything else will fall into place. And right now, look at the meaning you are giving to a situation. The meaning you are giving to a situation. That doesn't mean that that's the overall truth and meaning of what's actually going on. But look at the meaning you're giving to any situation right now that's not suited for you, that's not comfortable, brings unwelcome contrast, and you'll find the belief that brought this into being. Because your subconscious will follow whatever dictates you give it, and so our beliefs, until we uncover them and make them conscious and see why they're bogus, why they're wrong, they're going to continue to be this unconscious structure in your life, attracting more of the things you really don't want. So I want to help you with all this. I want you to feel the peace and the kind of freedom and the liberation that I do, because it's quite wonderful and there's nothing like it. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in Women Walking the Phoenix Path. Bye-bye.